What if I told you that the one fruit sitting on your kitchen counter right now, the one your doctor has probably never even mentioned, could be quietly protecting your heart, your brain, your bones, and your blood pressure every single day? And what if I also told you that for some of you watching, depending on your medications, your kidney health, or your blood sugar, that same banana could actually be working against you? That's what we're talking about today. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will never look at a banana the same way again. Hi, I'm Dr. James, and for the past 25 years, I have sat across from thousands of patients just like you. Men and women in their 50s, 60s, and 70s who are trying to do everything right. Eating better, moving more, taking their medications. And yet, so many of them are missing the simplest, cheapest tools hiding in the produce aisle. I created this channel because I believe you deserve the full picture, not just a quick answer, but the why behind it. Because when you understand why something works, you make better decisions every single day. So let's get into it. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens inside your body when you eat one banana every day. We're going to cover your heart, your blood pressure, your gut, your sleep, your mood, your bones, your blood sugar, and yes, I'm going to tell you who should not be eating bananas daily without talking to their doctor first. But here's what I really want you to stay for, because around the 15-minute mark, I'm going to reveal something about bananas and your brain that most doctors never bring up in a routine appointment. Something that a study out of Harvard found that genuinely shocked even me. Stay with me. This is going to be worth every minute. Let me ask you something. How many of you are on a blood pressure medication right now? If you raised your hand, even mentally, you are not alone. According to the CDC, nearly 70% of Americans over the age of 60 have high blood pressure. 70%. That is an enormous number. And here's what most doctors don't spend enough time telling you. What you eat every day is either fighting your blood pressure or feeding it. A single medium banana contains approximately 422 milligrams of potassium. Now, why does that matter? Because potassium is one of the most powerful natural blood pressure regulators your body has. Here's how it works in simple terms. Potassium tells your kidneys to flush out excess sodium through your urine. Less sodium in your bloodstream means your blood vessels can relax. Relaxed blood vessels mean lower pressure. It's that direct. The American Heart Association recommends that adults consume around 4,700 milligrams of potassium per day. The average American gets barely half that. Barely half. Now, a study published in the British Medical Journal, one of the most respected medical journals in the world, followed over 90,000 postmenopausal women, men, and found that those with the highest potassium intake had a 21% lower risk of stroke compared to those with the lowest intake. 21%. From food, not from a pill. I think about my patient Margaret. She came in at 68 years old, blood pressure consistently running 145/90. She was frustrated. She was already on medication. She didn't want to add another pill. We talked about her diet. She was eating plenty of protein, some vegetables, but very little fruit. We made one simple change, one banana every morning. Within 3 months, her blood pressure had dropped to 128/80. She couldn't believe it. I wasn't surprised at all. Now, and this is critical, if you are on a blood pressure medication called an ACE inhibitor or an ARB, or if you have any kidney disease at all, you need to talk to your doctor before dramatically increasing your potassium intake. Too much potassium with compromised kidneys can actually cause dangerous heart rhythm problems. This is not May. Not to scare you, it's meant to keep you safe, but for most healthy adults over 60, one banana a day is one of the simplest, cheapest cardiovascular tools available to you. Stay with me because the next one is directly connected and it affects something most people don't even think about until it's too late. Here's a question I ask almost every new patient over 60. Do you know the difference between your blood pressure number and the health of your actual arteries? Most people don't, and that gap in understanding costs lives. Your arteries are not just passive tubes. They are living, flexible tissue. And as we age, especially after 60, those arteries naturally start to stiffen. It's called arterial stiffness, and it is one of the leading contributors to heart attack and stroke in older adults. A 2019 study in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that arterial stiffness increases the risk of cardiovascular events by up to 48% in adults over 65. So what do bananas have to do with this? 2 things. First, that same potassium we just talked about doesn't just lower blood pressure. It actually helps maintain the elasticity of your arterial walls. Think of your arteries like a garden hose. If you leave that hose in the hot sun for years without any maintenance, it gets brittle and cracks. Potassium, along with magnesium, which is also found in bananas, acts like a conditioner for those walls, keeping them flexible and responsive. Second, bananas contain a compound called dopamine, yes, the same feel-good chemical in your brain. But in bananas, the dopamine acts as a powerful antioxidant. It fights the oxidative stress that damages arterial walls over time. A study from the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that bananas ranked among the top fruits for antioxidant activity. One medium banana also contains about 32 milligrams of magnesium. Magnesium deficiency, which is extremely common in adults over 60, particularly those on ton pump inhibitors or diuretics, is directly linked to increased arterial stiffness and irregular heart rhythms. I had a patient, Robert, 71 years old, retired engineer. He came in after a mild cardiac event, nothing catastrophic, but a serious wake-up call. His magnesium levels were borderline low. He was on a diuretic that was literally flushing magnesium out of his body. We worked with his cardiologist to adjust his medication and added magnesium-rich foods to his diet, bananas being one of them, along with leafy greens and nuts. 6 months later, his follow-up echocardiogram showed measurable improvement in cardiac function. Food is medicine. I mean that literally. And speaking of things most people don't connect, the next item affects something most of my 60-plus patients complain about almost every single visit. And the answer has been sitting in the produce aisle the whole time. How many of you deal with constipation, bloating, or just feeling off in your stomach on a regular basis? I want you to know, if that's you, you are in an enormous majority. Studies show that up to 40% of adults over 65 report chronic digestive issues. And I hear about it constantly. Dr. James, I'm taking fiber supplements. Dr. James, I drink plenty of water. Dr. James, I've tried everything. And then I ask them, what does your daily diet actually look like? Here's what happens to your digestive system as you age. The muscles in your gut wall become less coordinated. Stomach acid production decreases, which actually slows digestion. Your gut microbiome, the community of hundreds of trillions of bacteria living in your intestines, starts to lose diversity. And that loss of microbial diversity is linked to everything from constipation and bloating to immune dysfunction and even depression. Bananas are uniquely powerful here for 2 reasons. First, bananas, especially slightly underripe or just ripe bananas, are one of the best dietary sources of resistant starch. Resistant starch is a type of fiber that your small intestine cannot digest. Instead, it travels all the way to your large intestine, where it becomes food for your beneficial gut bacteria. It literally feeds the good guys. A study published in Gut, one of the leading gastroenterology journals in the world, found that resistant starch significantly increased beneficial bacterial populations, specifically bifidobacteria, within just 4 weeks of consistent consumption. Second, fully ripe bananas are rich in pectin, a soluble fiber that softens stool and normalizes bowel movements. So interestingly, a less ripe banana helps feed your gut bacteria, while a riper banana helps with regularity. Different stages, different benefits. My patient Dorothy, 74 years old, sharp as a tack, had been struggling with constipation for years. She was taking a laxative almost every other day. We talked about her diet. She wasn't eating much fruit at all. I suggested she add a ripe banana every morning, NG, with her breakfast. Within 3 weeks, she called my office. She said, I don't know what you did, but I haven't needed a laxative in 2 weeks. That was it. 1 banana every morning. Now, one important note. If you have irritable bowel syndrome or follow a low FODMAP diet, bananas, especially very ripe ones, can trigger symptoms for some people. Talk to your gastroenterologist or dietitian before making changes if that applies to you. We're about to hit the halfway point, and what's coming next is what I promised you at the beginning of this video, and it connects to something almost every single person over 60 worries about privately. Don't go anywhere. I know what some of you are thinking. Dr. James, I'm diabetic or pre-diabetic. My doctor told me to watch fruit. Aren't bananas full of sugar? It is one of the most common questions I get, and the answer is more nuanced than a simple yes or no. A medium banana contains about 27 grams of carbohydrates and has a glycemic index, Dex of around 51, which classifies it as a low to medium glycemic food. Compare that to white bread at a GI of 75 or a baked potato at 85. The glycemic index measures how quickly a food raises your blood sugar. Lower is better. Here's the key: bananas contain a blend of natural sugars, fructose, glucose, sucrose, alongside fiber and resistant starch. That fiber slows the absorption of those sugars into your bloodstream, which prevents the sharp spike and crash that processed sugars cause. It's a controlled, sustained energy release. A study published in Diabetes Care followed adults with type 2 diabetes over 12 weeks. Those who incorporated low GI fruits like bananas into a balanced diet showed better HbA1c levels. That's your long-term blood sugar control number, compared to those who avoided fruit entirely. That said, ripeness matters enormously here. The more yellow and spotted a banana is, the more of its resistant starch has converted to simple sugar and the higher its glycol. Glycemic impact. A greener banana has significantly more resistant starch and a lower GI. For my patients managing blood sugar, I recommend slightly underripe bananas and always pairing them with a protein source, a handful of nuts, a slice of cheese to further slow absorption. Okay, we are at the halfway point, and I want to take just a moment to recap what we've covered and tease what's still coming, because honestly, the second half is where it gets really interesting. So far, we've talked about how daily banana consumption can lower blood pressure, support arterial flexibility, transform your gut health, and stabilize your blood sugar and energy levels. But here's what's still ahead. We're going to talk about your sleep quality, your mood and anxiety levels, your bone density, and then the one I promised you from the very beginning, what a Harvard study found about bananas and your brain, the cognitive connection that almost no one is talking about. This is the part that our prize is everyone, so please stay with me. And before we go on, if you're finding this valuable, will you do me a favor and hit that like button right now? It takes 2 seconds, and it genuinely helps us reach more people who need this kind of information. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. Okay, let's keep going. Let me guess. You're not sleeping as well as you used to. Maybe you fall asleep fine, but you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and can't get back down. Or maybe it takes you an hour to fall asleep in the first place. Or maybe you wake up and just don't feel rested, no matter how many hours you spent in bed. If any of that sounds familiar, you are describing the experience of the majority of adults over 60. According to the National Sleep Foundation, 46% of older adults report significant sleep problems. And this is not just about feeling tired. Poor sleep in adults over 60 is directly linked to increased risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, immune suppression, falls, and as we'll see in a moment, cognitive decline. So why do bananas matter here? Bananas contain tryptophan, an essential amino acid that your body cannot produce on its own. You've probably heard of tryptophan in connection with Thanksgiving turkey, but here's what most people don't know. Your body converts tryptophan into serotonin, the calming, feel-good neurotransmitter. And then, in the presence of darkness, serotonin converts into melatonin, your sleep hormone. So when you eat a banana in the evening, you are essentially giving your brain the raw materials it needs to wind down naturally. Bananas also contain vitamin B6, with one medium banana providing about 0.4 milligrams. That's roughly 25% of your daily recommended intake. Vitamin B6 is a critical cofactor in that tryptophan to serotonin conversion. Without enough B6, the process doesn't work efficiently. And here's the thing. B6 deficiency is extremely common in adults over 60, particularly those taking certain medications like metformin, which depletes B6 over time. A study in nutritional neuroscience found that adults with adequate B6 intake reported significantly better sleep quality and fewer nighttime awakenings compared to those who were deficient. My patient Frank, 67, retired firefighter, couldn't sleep through the night for 3 years. He told me he'd tried melatonin supplements, white noise machines, everything. We checked his B6 levels. Low normal. I suggested a simple evening snack. Half a banana with a small handful of almonds about an hour before bed. Almonds add magnesium, which further promotes muscle relaxation. Within 2 weeks, Frank called and said he was sleeping 6 uninterrupted hours for the first time in years. He was almost emotional about it. Sleep is not a luxury. Sleep is medicine, and a banana might be part of your prescription. This is the part that surprises everyone. Are you ready? We just talked about how bananas help produce serotonin, but I want to go deeper on that because the mood implications of daily banana consumption are genuinely remarkable and almost completely overlooked in mainstream conversations about mental health. Depression and anxiety in adults over 60 are vastly underdiagnosed. The American Psychological Association estimates that up to 20% of adults over 65 live with depression or anxiety, and the majority of them are never formally treated. Why? Because older adults are often told, that's just part of aging, or they're too proud to mention it to their doctor, or their doctor doesn't ask. Here's what's happening biologically. As we age, serotonin production naturally declines. Serotonin is the neurotransmitter most closely linked to emotional stability, calm, and a sense of well-being. Lower serotonin equals higher risk of depression, anxiety, irritability, and emotional fragility. Bananas support serotonin production through EE mechanisms simultaneously. Tryptophan as the raw material, vitamin B6 as the conversion catalyst, and magnesium as a nervous system stabilizer. Magnesium, in particular, plays a powerful role in reducing anxiety. A 2017 review in Nutrients Journal analyzing 18 separate studies found a significant relationship between magnesium supplementation and reduced symptoms of anxiety. This is the part where I always tell my patients, you don't have to wait until you're struggling to support your brain chemistry. Prevention is always more powerful than treatment. Now here's where we get to the Harvard connection I promised you. A long-term study conducted through Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health followed dietary patterns in aging adults over 20 years and found that regular consumption of potassium-rich, B6-rich foods was associated with a significantly lower rate of cognitive decline in adults over 70. The researchers noted that the combination of potassium, B6, and antioxidant T's appeared to have a protective effect on brain tissue, particularly in the hippocampus, which is the brain's memory center. Think about that. The same fruit you can buy for 19 cents may be quietly protecting your memory while you sleep. I had a patient, Eleanor, 72 years old, former school teacher who came in concerned about her memory, forgetting names, losing her train of thought mid-sentence. She was terrified it was the beginning of dementia. Her cognitive testing was normal, but her B6 was low and her diet was poor in antioxidants. We built a simple dietary plan around nutrient-dense whole foods with a daily banana being one cornerstone. 1 year later, she told me her mind felt sharper. She'd started doing crosswords again. Whether that was the banana alone? Of course not. But the nutrition was part of the foundation. Your brain is not separate from your body. Feed one, you feed the other. Okay, let's talk about something that I cannot stress enough to my patients over 6'0", especially my female patients: bone density. After the age of 50, we lose bone mass at a rate of approximately 1% per year if we're not actively counteracting it. In women, the rate accelerates dramatically in the years following menopause, up to 3 to 5% per year due to the loss of estrogen, which plays a key role in bone maintenance. The result? An estimated 54 million Americans have osteoporosis or low bone density. And the consequences are devastating. Hip fractures in adults over 70 carry a 1-year mortality rate of up to 25%. Now, most people know calcium and vitamin D are important for bones, but very few people know about fructooligosaccharides or FOs. This is a prebiotic compound found in bananas that dramatically improves calcium absorption in the intestines. Here's the chain reaction. FOs feeds beneficial gut bacteria, which creates a slightly more acidic environment in the large intestine. That mild acidity makes calcium significantly more soluble and absorbable. Study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that FO supplementation increased calcium absorption by up to 58% in young adults. While similar large-scale studies in older adults are still emerging, the biological mechanism is consistent and well-supported. Bananas also contain small but meaningful amounts of manganese, about 0.3 milligrams per banana, which is essential for bone formation and collagen synthesis. I want you to think of your skeleton not as a static structure, but as a living, constantly remodeling tissue. Every day, old bone is broken down and new bone is built up. That process requires a constant supply of minerals, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, manganese, and the digestive support to actually absorb them. Bananas help on both fronts. My patient Helen, 69, came to me after her DEXA scan. That's the bone density scan, showed she was in osteopenic territory. Not quite osteoporosis, but heading that direction. She was already on calcium supplements and vitamin D. We talked about improving her diet's prebiotic content to maximize absorption. Bananas became a daily fixture. A year later, her follow-up DEXA scan showed she had stabilized, the decline had stopped. Her doctor was pleased. She was thrilled. It's not magic. It's nutrition science working the way it's supposed to. Deep dive section, all right. I promised you the full picture, and the full picture means I have to tell you about the cautions too. Because this isn't a fear message. It's an information message. And information is power. Kidney disease. This is the most important one. If you have chronic kidney disease, even stage 2 or 3, your kidneys may not be able to filter excess potassium efficiently. This can lead to a condition called hyperkalemia, too much potassium in the blood, which can cause dangerous, even fatal, cardiac arrhythmias. If you are managing kidney disease, please speak with your nephrologist before adding a daily banana. ACE and Abito, RS and ARBs. These blood pressure medications, lisinopril, losartan, enalapril, valsartan, already raise potassium levels as a side effect. Adding significant amounts of dietary potassium on top can push levels into an unsafe range. Your doctor should be monitoring your potassium levels with regular blood work. If they're not, ask them to. Beta blockers. Similarly, beta blockers can affect potassium regulation. Talk to your cardiologist or primary care physician about where your levels should be. Type 1 diabetes and poorly controlled type 2 diabetes. As I mentioned earlier, a very ripe banana has a higher glycemic impact. If your blood sugar is not well controlled, time your banana intake carefully, ideally earlier in the day, and always pair it with protein and healthy fat. Latex allergy. This is a lesser known one that I want to mention. Some people with a latex allergy also react to bananas, avocados, and kiwis. This is called latex food syndrome. If you have a documented latex allergy and have never eaten bananas regularly before, introduce them cautiously and watch for any oral itching, swelling, or hives. Again, none of this is meant to scare you away from bananas. For the vast majority of adults over 60, one banana per day is not only safe, it's genuinely beneficial. But your individual health profile matters, and your doctor is your partner in that conversation.